All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're going to South America. We're going to learn all about the guanaco.
Sounds
You
fun.
might be thinking, guanaco, what even is that?
Yeah, I can imagine some people haven't heard of them.
Well, get ready. We're going to learn all about this incredible animal. And we're basing all this on this essay you gave me. Think llama or alpaca, but like wilder, way tougher, and living in some of the most extreme places on Earth.
That's right. They really are amazing animals, especially when you consider just how harsh their environment is.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. The essay says they're about the size of a large deer,
Right, yeah.
which is pretty big. But then there's their fur. It's supposed to be like luxurious, like vicuña wool. So soft and warm.
Totally. And that fur is super important to them for surviving, especially high up in the Andes. It gets cold up there.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of the Andes, that brings us to their habitat. Like, it's not just the cold they deal with, right?
Oh, definitely not. It's way more than that. They live all over the place, from deserts like the Atacama all the way to the Patagonian plains, all kinds of different temperatures and terrain.
It's really wild. Like, how do they survive in such different places? The essay mentions their breathing. Like, they can breathe super efficiently at high altitudes. Is that like llamas and alpacas?
Yeah, it is. Their red blood cells are different. They absorb oxygen way better, even when the air is thin. So they can live where most animals would have a really hard time breathing.
That's amazing. Talk about tough. And it's not just physical stuff either. The essay talks about how they're social too. They live in groups with like a dominant male and a bunch of females and their babies.
It works really well for them.
Yeah.
The male protects everyone, and the females raise the young.
It's like a little family. And speaking of the young ones, the essay said something about bachelor herds. What's that all about?
Oh, yeah. So when the young males get old enough, they have to leave the group. But they don't just go off on their own. They form these bachelor herds with other young males.
Huh. I wonder why they do that.
Probably a few reasons. Less competition with the dominant male for food and mates. Plus safety in numbers. There's a lot of predators out there.
That makes sense, like pumas and Andean condors. The essay said guanacos are super fast, though, like up to 56 kilometers per hour to get away from predators.
Good, they're quick.
That's amazing.
Mm.
But they also spit to communicate. Not quite as impressive as their speed, I guess.
Well, it might seem weird to us, but it's actually important for them is how they figure out who's boss and how they avoid fights within the herd.
Interesting. So we've talked about how they look, where they live, how they act socially. But what about their impact on the environment? What do they do?
Oh, they're super important for keeping things in balance. They're herbivores.
Mhm.
So by grazing, they actually help control how plants grow. And that helps support lots of different life.
Makes sense. Though the essay did mention some threats they face, like habitat loss and competition with livestock. Sad to say, it's a problem for a lot of wild animals.
Unfortunately, yeah. But there is good news. Right now, they're classified as least concern by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. There's a lot of people working to protect them.
That's great to hear. Okay, so let's switch gears a little. This essay talks about how important they are to people, especially indigenous people in South America.
Yeah, for a long time, they've been a source of food and clothing, and even inspiration.
Right. Their wool makes amazing clothes and blankets. And their meat was really important too. It's cool to see that connection to people. And it sounds like even today they're still super important culturally, like in the Andes and Patagonia.
Definitely. They represent that wild spirit, the resilience of those areas.
Absolutely. So there you have it, the guanaco, this tough little creature that can live almost anywhere with this really cool social structure and is super important to both the environment, AD people. It makes you think. They give us wool and meat, but there's so much more than that. What if we saw them as like a piece of this amazing web of life on Earth? What if everyone knew how special they are?
That's a great point. They really deserve more attention.
Well, hopefully this deep dive helped with that.
You think so?
And hey, if you're listening and want to learn even more, go do some research. There's tons of info out there about guanacos.
Have fun with it.
Until next time.
See you then.